welcome to Incredible Buzz.
I'm Patty.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk about wills, or I should say, not having a will when you die.
Okay, because we had a pretty good conversation earlier today about somebody not having their will, and who was that?
Prince. On the news this morning, they were talking about how, so far anyway, I mean, obviously a will could come out of somewhere, at some point. But as of now, at least as of this morning on the news, they were talking about how Prince, evidently did not have a will. And so they were talking about the legal implications of that. And it was really...
Well, and what makes it complicated is he doesn't have any children. Or at least none that have shown up so far.
Yeah, again, that's another thing they brought up this morning where if you have a child, that is your foremost next of kin. Obviously if there's no spouse. And then the child takes precedence as far as the legal rights to this, to someone's estate. So a child could come forward too at any point. They talked about that too. If a child should surface and through DNA or whatever, it's obviously Prince's child, that child would take precedence and be entitled to everything. Mm-hmm. And he has a sister and I believe some other half-siblings. So
yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, and so that it complicates everything. That's just without a way.
Well, and I just read something after we talked about it. I read about, it was talked about this, wasn't it partners? That if one of the partners mm-hmm. dies, the kids get preference, even if that partner owns half of everything. That causes a whole nother complication.
Right. And I guess it's something we got talking about this morning, and it was like, I wonder how many people don't really think about these kinds of implications. I mean, who wants to think about death and dying and you need a will? Mm-hmm. Chris, I'll admit I don't have a will. And now my children are probably going, but the thing is, I don't have $250 million.
Yeah, either. Yeah. If you have $250 million, you probably should have some. Well, even
but
if
I really
got more than one kid.
Right, but I really do need to have one because, and recently I've been talking a lot about this. If for no other reason, what are your wishes? I mean, if something happens, where are your children going to go? Who's the person your children are going to go to? If you're not married and it's their mother or father, who are they going to go to say, well, what did mom want? I mean, does she want to be cremated? Does she want, what do we do? Yeah.
Well,
so I am working on that. Now
that we started talking about it. But
really I have, recently realized the importance of that and been working on it. But the thing with Prince when it
just
came up,
really pointed it out to you. Well, the other thing you got to keep in mind when you do a will, you need to do your medical power of attorney mm-hmm. and a financial power of attorney. Because the thing is, if you get in a car accident and you cannot, speak your wishes, you need somebody that can decide if you're going to be kept on life support, taken off of life support, and then who's going to pay your bills while you're unconscious? You've got people that are in comas for a while, and then do eventually come out of it.
Yeah.
So, like I have a sister and a sister-in-law who are nurses. I would like them to be my mm-hmm. medical power of attorney, and then I've got a brother-in-law that will help my son. My son's getting old enough now that mm-hmm. he can take over some of it, but I want him to have guidance. Yeah. So I started doing a will. Now, I talked to a lawyer and, he's got most of it drawn up, but this has been years ago. He said people usually think about doing a will when they're going to go fly or go on vacation and fly somewhere.
Really?
That's when they think about it. And he says there's a lot of them that never sign them. They get them started and then they forget about it until they go on vacation again or something like that. So the thing is, mm-hmm. and then the other thing I tell people is, it doesn't matter what you have, if you have more than one kid, if you want them to like each other, after you die,
right.
you should put it in writing because it doesn't matter what you have when it comes to money and possessions, people will fight.
Right. And that is something I've always, I've seen that in my own family, not my immediate family, but, something years ago that happened in my family regarding my father's family. And, and it was a situation where, I don't even want to discuss it, but you're right. Things need to be in writing, mm-hmm. and it shouldn't be just presumed mm-hmm. that. And another thing I think too personally is you have to be absolutely fair. If you have 2 children or 5 children or mm-hmm. 4 children or whatever, I can't imagine you're doing a disservice to those children because you don't want them fighting for the rest of their lives, especially over material things.
That's the main thing. Your goal when you die is you want your kids to still like each other.
Yes.
So that should be your reason for doing a will in the first place. Because there's just so much fighting over money or anything like that. And people you wouldn't think would fight over money, fight over money.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just talking, average money. We're not talking, like in the case of Prince, when you're talking about, estimating $250 million, and that isn't even, supposedly he has a vault that may have unpublished music. They're not sure, but when that all comes out too, I mean, it could be, many more millions and millions.
Future earnings. Who gets the future earnings too? That's probably going to be the big question.
Right.
He might have a lot of money now, but there might be a lot more coming in the future.
Right.
So it depends. And the thing is, you were talking about the love child that could show up. Don't you think there's going to be people coming out of the woodwork for that much money?
There'll be people. There's still people doing that for all kinds of celebrities. It's not funny, but it's almost like expected. There's going to be people, scammers and everybody else coming out. But if there is truly, a legitimate, a child of his somewhere out there, according to what they were saying on the news this morning, that, as I said, that child would be the heir.
Yeah.
And these other people right now who are the heirs, the sister and, half siblings and stuff, who knows what, I wouldn't even want to be in anywhere near that mess. I mean, can you imagine the issues that can bring up? But it also mentioned, which I thought was real interesting, if you don't have a will, the government decides what happens to your, and they get a huge percentage of it, according to what they were saying this morning.
I didn't have a chance to look that up, but my ex-husband passed away without a will. But we only had one child. And so there was no fighting over the money that he had in the house that he had and all that. It was all my son's. But we did have to petition the court to make him and I co-executors on the estate because somebody had to take care of it. My son was pretty young, so he was devastated when his dad passed away, and to have to make all these decisions are hard on anybody. So there was no will, nothing to tell him whether he wanted to be cremated or buried or anything like that. So we had a lot of decisions to make, and
at a very difficult time when you don't want to be making those decisions.
No, and I was very glad to help my son do that. So we made it through, but you do have to. We had to get the lawyer, and we had to take care of they have to publish in the paper so many days or so many weeks. That he passed away, and if anybody had any money they needed to collect. Right. So can you imagine Prince's estate? How much stuff is, can people show up and say, I have a claim against this, I have a claim against this, and
who knows?
That'd be that'd be mind-boggling.
Right. But I think another factor too is money. I think people should know you can write your own will. You just need to have it
notarized.
Notary public.
Yeah.
And there are forms you can get online, in fact. Or you could go to some of those online legal places too for a couple $100. But honestly,
you can do a simple one, just handwrite it and say I want this.
If you don't have money like Prince does, really all you need to do is write up the important things, like you said, the medical power of attorney, is it legal power of attorney?
Yeah, I call it financial, but legal power of attorney.
To be the heir executor.
Yeah.
And and what you want with your assets, and how you want it divided, and all of those just kind of basic things, and especially your burial wishes and stuff. Do you want to be cremated? Do you and get that notarized, and at least that is something. The kids will know what accounts you have, where they're at, what the numbers are. How you want.
Make it legal. That's the big thing. And the only good thing about having, not the only good thing, but having a lawyer or going through these online places is so you don't forget something.
That's true. And
like
I
the
bet
medical
nowadays,
power of attorney and all that stuff.
And that's a really good point. And it wouldn't cost much. I mean, I'm sure they could look it over for $100 or something. I don't know. But Chris, with access to the internet and all of the resources out there, I bet there's even checklists. Like not only write your own will, but here's a checklist to make sure you cover all of these points. And that, in the very least, would cost you. Does it cost to have something notarized? Maybe a few dollars?
No, it doesn't cost anything.
Okay, so see, you literally could do it for free. A little bit of research in your time online, at least something.
You know,
To
most
have something
banks,
to-
a lot of cities have a notary somewhere. You just, you could call your bank, you could call your, the city clerk and stuff and
Right.
find out. And yeah, that's part of their, thing is when they become notaries, they do it for nothing.
Right. But I mean, I guess that's a good starting point. But I do agree with you that you probably should have an attorney look over what you have written up and created. It probably wouldn't cost a lot, and I think you'd want the security of that extra legal, peace of mind, because it is such an important thing. It
Yeah,
really
and then
is.
where would you store it? That's the thing. Do you put it in a safe deposit box? Do you have a safe in your house? Do you have
Well,
a
that's
box
the thing
in
about
your
an
house?
attorney too, because it's always been my understanding that you have a copy and your attorney has a copy in their office.
Yeah,
But
so that's good.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
But
anyway,
anyway, on that happy note, what a lovely subject.
yeah, this was just our reminder to do your will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get
Make
it
sure
over with. I have to do it, so
Yeah.
maybe we can bring that up at a later date and
Try to remind each other. So
keep ourselves on task.
yeah, we have a whole list of stuff we have to keep
Oh
ourselves
my
on
God,
task
losing
for.
weight, which by the way I haven't done.
Oh yeah, well that'll be
So-
another topic another day. So, so we just want to remind you to check out IncredibleBuzz.com, and we want to remind you that life should be an incredible buzz.